If you want to improve your aim in Black Ops 7, then you clicked on the right video. If your aim doesn't stick, you can't track opponents, and you're losing gunfights even though you got the first shot, this video will help you out, so like and subscribe if it ends up doing so. And the first thing that you need to know is that you're not alone. Treyarch heavily nerfed aim assist in Black Ops 7, but once you understand how they nerfed aim assist, you can actually end up using this to your advantage. So this video is going to be more on advanced aiming techniques, later covering the #1 aiming mistake that I see people making in Black Ops 7. But first, we need to make sure we cover the right settings and sensitivity to make sure that we're on the same page going into BO7. And here are all my controller settings, with the key ones right now being sensitivity. Right now I'm at 1.75 and 1.75. Dead zones, which are 1, 70, 1, and then 95. And then instant transition and dynamic curve. Sensitivity can be adjusted depending on your playstyle or preference. But if you have no idea where to start, go into a private match and then turn your sensitivity all the way down to around maybe 1.35, 1.4. Then all you need to do is hip fire the bots while keeping on target. And then after every few kills, you should go in and increase your sensitivity a little bit more, 0.05 at a time. And you want to keep doing this until you find yourself overcorrecting, which would look kind of like that. Once you get to that point, for me, you can see it's at about 1.85. Either stay at that point or lower it just a little bit until you're at your sensitivity, which for me is at 1.75. Now let's go over the most common aiming mistakes that I see people making in Black Ops 7, saving, of course, the biggest one for last. And the first mistake is actually being afraid of stick drift. A little bit is actually okay. And if we take a look at what they actually changed about aim assist, you can see that slight movements are needed from both the left and the right stick in order to engage the aim assist up close. Basically, the game needs to register enough movements of both sticks to see a human attempt at staying on target, and then it helps assist you to stay on target. This assistance is less at close range, but actually buffed at very long ranges. The takeaway here is that most people bump up their right stick minimum until they get absolutely no stick drift at all. But assuming that it's a steady stick drift that you're getting, which is normal, it can actually be beneficial to have some drift, because then the game registers that as right stick movement, then in turn helps you get on target sooner. Now, I do understand why long-term stick drift could be scary, and my controller sponsor Scuff actually released new TMR stick modules as well as a Black Ops 7 controller. In case you don't know what TMR sticks are, they actually combine the precision of default analog sticks with the magnetic technology of the Hall effect sticks, which are more protected from getting long-term stick drift. That way you get the best of both, an accurate controller that can stay precise for a long time, way longer than standard controllers without TMR. And that's not even mentioning the 4 back paddles, the mouse click triggers like I have on this Scuff here, and this one even comes with mouse click buttons, which is really sick. You can kind of hear that here. But I mean, also these are including some of the coolest designs that I've seen on any of the Pro controllers. But anyways, as we move on, check out my Scuff link in the top of the description. Use code LunchTime for a discount. And the next aiming mistake that I see people do is not strafing. This includes even when you're holding an angle, even when you're crouching, and especially at longer ranges, because that's where the rotational aim assist is going to kick in the most. This is where you should take a second and make sure that your attachments and your stocks are built with aim walking movement speed in mind. And this is also why our left stick max dead zone is down at 70 instead of up at 99, because the faster that you can reach the maximum strafing speed and the faster that you can strafe in general with those attachments, the more rotational aim assist that you'll get, which, like we've been talking about, was buffed at long range, although it might be a little bit weaker at close range. Long story short, the more rotational aim assist, the better. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but in regards to the aim assist nerf, like we said, the game needs to register movement of both the left and the right sticks. So if you're sitting completely still and only moving your right stick, that rotational aim assist is obviously not going to kick in because you're not rotating. So even if you're doing something like holding an off angle like this, don't just kind of sit here and try to only use your right stick to aim. You want to be kind of spamming the strafe button, or not the button, you want to be spamming your left stick. This will make it so that the rotational aim assist will kick in even before like your human reaction time can react to somebody coming around the corner. It is kind of like cracked strafing, but it's a good habit to get into, especially if you're ADSing and someone were to come around the corner close, because like we've been talking about, that close range aim assist has got a huge nerf. So if you just try to let your right stick only handle it, it's simply not going to happen. The good news is this is something that you can work on easily, and to be honest, all the time. Just making sure that you're always strafing no matter what. If you ever catch yourself standing perfectly still, it's a good time to remind yourself that you definitely need to be strafing. You need to kick in the rotational aim assist as best you can. And I promise you, you're only hurting yourself by staying completely still, even if you're doing something like crouching or like we've been talking about, holding an off angle. And the next mistake that I see people making in Black Ops 7 is not making micro adjustments. This more so goes out to the people that shoot bots and try to improve their aim over time. If all that you're doing is turning off your brain and shooting bots and not really keeping track of your targeting, then you're not really improving your aim at all. When you're practicing, when you're warming up, when you're shooting bots, you should make sure that all of your shots are on target and take the time to micro adjust to hold your aim at actual chest level. If you're turning your brain off and you're just shooting at toes, then you're not actually working to improve your aim, and you might as well not be warming up or shooting bots at all. Especially with aim assist being nerfed at close range, you're going to have to constantly be making that adjustment yourself, and you won't be able to fully rely on rotational aim assist to do that for you. So that's something you'll have to keep in mind when you're warming up shooting bots or trying to improve your aim in private match lobbies. To really taking the time, like I've been talking about, to line up your shot, making sure you're not missing, and the shots that you do take are at chest level or above. And the next mistake that I see people making on Black Ops 7 are not taking the time to snap to target. Let's say you're holding at an angle like this and somebody does show up over here. Instead of just drag scoping, you want to get in the habit of un-ADSing and then quick scoping onto your target. This is something that's important because it takes a lot of time to do a long drag scope onto target. And if you can perfect the art of snapping onto target, that'll give you a huge advantage in your gunfights because you're not having to factor in the time that it takes to drag scope to wherever they might be coming from. It definitely takes some time to master this because you want to make sure that you're not overshooting or undershooting. And this goes back to the point we were talking about before, where making sure you have the right sensitivity. Because like we talked about earlier, if you're too low, you're going to undersnap. And if you're too high, you're going to snap way too far. And this is also something that you can practice super easily in private match as well, by taking the time to make sure that you're comfortable enough with your sensitivity to do the snap in the first place. The second to last aiming mistake that we need to talk about is actually not having proper awareness or positioning. And although this doesn't directly relate to the physical aspect of aiming, it's something that's very important and needs to be talked about, because aiming is just one small part of Call of Duty. If you get caught sprinting a ton, or if you have bad movement, you're adding a ton of factors into your gunfights and adding a lot of randomness that could easily be taken away if you have proper movement, or if you have the right positioning, or you're holding low head glitches that make it harder for your opponents to shoot you. These are all things that factor into your gameplay, and although not directly related to aim, it's something to keep in mind and will help you see more success going forward. A good rule of thumb that I like to have is that you want to have good aim, but you don't want to be bailed out of having bad positioning by having good aim, if that makes sense. We talk a lot about centering, and centering plays a big factor in this as well. And the good thing that I like to always mention about centering is that it's something that you can constantly be working on, even as you're just running through a bot lobby like this. If you look at my center dot, you can see that I'm keeping it at about chest level, or even the height of the head glitches that opponents might be coming from. And you don't even have to end up shooting bots in the lobby to make sure this is something that you're working on. Just always keep an eye on that center dot and make sure that you're not looking at the floor unless you're trying to center towards a staircase or something like that, because that factors into randomness and snapping that you'll have to do on different gunfights. The better that your centering is, the less you'll have to rely on that, and the less that you'll have to rely on having good aim. And the number one mistake that I've seen people make in Black Ops 7, myself included, is that people often don't transition out of ADS to hipfire in close ranges. Sometimes, depending on where your opponents show up, your ADS sensitivity might not be enough to keep up with them. Especially in a game like Black Ops 7 where there's wall jumping, not just from your perspective of having to wall jump, your opponent's perspective of maybe wall jumping over you. It's very possible that a lot of times simply holding an ADS will not be enough to keep on track with your target. So basically, if you're wall jumping, don't be afraid to let go of the ADS and try to hipfire a little bit. It adds some RNG with hipfire shots being there, but I promise it will lead to more gunfight wins, and it's a good habit to get into because you can't always rely on your ADS sensitivity to finish the kills. And those are the most common aiming mistakes that I see in Black Ops 7. If this video helped you out, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time at lunchtime.